On a cold night in 1962, Alcatraz, the prison no one escaped, fell silent and 3 men disappeared into the dark. The water below was black, choppy, and cold enough to kill you, while the bay quietly worked against anyone foolish enough to try. No alarms sounded, no bodies were found, and by morning, the most secure prison in America had a problem it couldn't explain. This week on Two Crime Newsies, we talk about the daring escape from Alcatraz. Hey everyone, I'm Jen. Thanks for being with us for another episode of Two Crime Newsies.
I'm Tina. Jen has this, I don't even know what to call it, this energy this morning.
I do.
I love it.
I walked into Tina's house and I am in sweatpants and a t-shirt. I got my Crocs and socks on and I had this like faux leopard print jacket on and I was like feeling myself. Oh, and I also had my like gay pride sunglasses on. I was feeling it today.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing?
What, my leopard print
Gay
jacket?
pride sunglasses.
Yeah, I got them from a company called Dot Dash, and they're amazing.
That's so funny.
I honestly didn't even think that they were gay pride, but then my husband, we got them delivered, and he was like, Jen, gay pride sunglasses. And I was like, hey, I thought they were just colorful. I love it.
I have to check those out before you leave.
But I don't know, I'm like dancing over here. I'm just feeling this episode, I think.
Yeah, it's a really, really exciting one. I'm so happy you found it. I know that you know so many things about Alcatraz because you mentioned it in your notes. I want to hear all the things.
All the things. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So please just jump in there. Whenever something like, ticks your brain and you're thinking, I know, I need to add to this. I want to know.
When my little hamster wheel is going.
Yes.
Because you know that hamster wheel spins quite fast.
Oh, it sure does.
So Tina, can I just say, I am incredibly excited for today's episode. I am literally bursting in with excitement if you guys cannot tell. And the reason for it is because today's episode takes place in one of my all-time favorite cities, San Francisco. I just love San Francisco. I used to live in California, and we would visit San Fran at least twice a year. The food, the culture, the people, the beautiful views. I love it all. Have you ever been?
Nope.
Tina just took a giant sip of coffee.
I did. My only knowledge, Jen, of San Francisco comes from the Full House opening.
Okay.
With the houses on the hilly streets and the Golden Gate Bridge. That's about all I know.
There's so much more. There's so many cool places in the city. You have the Presidio. You have these cool intrinsic neighborhoods. You have this culture. You have different parts. You have Chinatown, Little Italy, the food everywhere. I love it.
How's the weather?
It's one of those where in the summertime, it's cooler, overcast, kind of, while the rest of the U.S. is warmer. I feel like June gloom is a real thing.
June gloom?
June gloom. It's something that people in San Diego say a lot because in June, the month of June, there is this gloominess in the air. And it's kind of the same thing in San Francisco, too.
Oh, no. I live for the sun in June. This is not my city.
Oh, but you would love it. I would love to take you to San Francisco.
Okay, the only reason I want to go to San Francisco is to visit the place we're going to talk about today.
Ooh. Well, if you've ever been to San Francisco, one of the biggest tourist districts is Fisherman's Wharf, which I think, Tina, you would also really love it. There's lots of little shops. And then
I love a little shop.
A little tourist shop. Mm-hmm. And Fisherman's Wharf is right on the Esplanade, which overlooks the beautiful San Francisco Bay. And in the middle of the bay is a fortress known to many as the Rock. And on it stands Alcatraz. Now, I'm going to give you a little background on Alcatraz prison. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the U.S. Army built a citadel also known as a fortress on a rock in the 1850s. And later in that decade, the first military prison opened up there. The U.S. military used the rock for about 80 years, and then the island was transferred to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And that's when, in the 1930s, a maximum security penitentiary opened there. And some notable inmates included Al Capone, Robert Stroud, who's also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, Machine Gun Kelly, just to name a few.
Not the rapper.
What?
Machine Gun Kelly, not the rapper.
Oh, is that the guy who's like all tattooed?
Yeah, I think so.
And he was with like Megan Fox.
Yes, I Googled this because I was like, Machine Gun Kelly? What is she talking about? Isn't that guy a rapper? And I Googled it, and there is a real Machine Gun Kelly. Apparently, Machine Gun Kelly named himself after Machine Gun Kelly.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Right.
There you
go. So, Jen, before I watched the episode, as I just mentioned, I went down a short rabbit hole.
I like it.
And I say short because I only read a few dozen reviews of Alcatraz Island on Google Maps. That was the extent of my rabbit hole. And by the way, this island has an excellent Google rating. And the pictures from the reviewers are really interesting to look through. Have you looked through those?
No, I haven't looked at Google Maps reviews of Alcatraz.
This prison looks beautiful. Well, the exterior, at least.
It's gorgeous.
The grounds.
It really is, yes.
Right. And I noticed on several of those pictures that there is some signage around the old prison with the names of some infamous prisoners, like you mentioned, Al Capone. And under each of their pictures, it says what they're in prison for or what they were in prison for at Alcatraz. Under Al Capone's photo, it says his offense was income tax evasion.
Didn't he do so much worse than that, though?
Income tax evasion? And I did another rabbit hole because I was thinking,
what? Tell me.
I think it's so fascinating because I imagine Alcatraz prisoners as being some of the scariest and most dangerous criminals, like murderers or serial killers. And I just never would have imagined income tax evasion could have sent you to Alcatraz.
Naughty.
So, as one does, I did some Googling to double check that I read that signage correctly. And according to Google AI, it says Al Capone was sent to Alcatraz in 1934 for income tax evasion. It happened. While notorious for racketeering, bootlegging, and violence, federal authorities secured an 11-year sentence in 1931 for failing to pay taxes on his illegal income. Naughty, naughty. He was moved from Atlanta to Alcatraz to stop him from running his empire behind bars. Isn't that fascinating?
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not cool. Like, what he did was not cool, but it's good information.
To stop him from his criming, they had to move him to an island.
On the other side of the country.
For income tax evasion.
Yeah,
pay your taxes, people.
Pay your taxes, yeah. You don't want to end up at Alcatraz.
Nope.
Okay, so there's a little history of the rock for you. Thank you, Tina. Mm-hmm. So let's get today's episode. Are you ready, my friend?
Obviously. I am ready.
I am like on coffee number 3 and I feel jazzed.
Again, Jen? It's 10:30.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it wasn't my leopard print jacket and Crocs and socks and gay pride sunnies. Maybe it's just the coffee.
You walked in with that jacket and I was thinking, where is this girl going?
I have to go to the FedEx store after this.
She looked like a real housewife.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Very much is.
Okay, are you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm excited. The show we're talking about this week is called How 3 Inmates Escaped Alcatraz, and it's on the History Channel. And you might be thinking History Channel snooze fest.
No, History Channel is amazing.
I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. But today's show is part of a series called History's Greatest Mysteries. And that opened opens with a shot of Alcatraz with the Oakland Bridge behind it and the skyline of San Francisco in the background. It's beautiful. And the narrator says it's the morning of June 12th, 1962.
And he says during 7 a.m. roll call one morning, 3 prisoners don't respond. Those prisoners are Frank Morris and 2 brothers named John Anglin and Clarence Anglin. Sammy says the guard walks over to the cells to check on them and notices they're asleep in their beds. So he takes his guard stick. Sammy on the show calls it a nightstick. I call it a guard stick.
It's like a whacker.
Or a whacker. And he sticks the whacker through the bars of one of the cells and taps Frank Morris on the head.
Dude,
Tap,
that
tap.
would hurt.
I mean, he says he tapped him. But apparently he did it kind of hard because Frank doesn't respond, but his head rolls off the bed.
Tina, his head fell off. Could you imagine the shock this poor guard must have experienced in that moment? I would have probably just like, oh my gosh, I killed the poor fella.
I think this gives new meaning to the phrase rolling out of bed.
Heads will be rolling.
Or heads would be rolling. Can you imagine having to explain this to your boss? You insist you just tapped the guy on the head with your stick, but your boss thinks you decapitated him.
There goes his bonus.
Okay, let's talk about what these heads look like. I'm assuming they look like the ones that we see in the show, and to me, they look very lifelike from a distance. I'm assuming they looked much like the ones we see in the show, if not those exact ones. And to me, they look very lifelike from a distance. The hair looks real. It's about the right dimensions for a head. And when you see the head laying in the bed, it looks like a real person is there. And it turns out these heads were made out of paper mache. Do you think they stopped offering paper mache crafting at Alcatraz after this?
Probably. No more arts and crafts for you.
I'm done with you and your head making.
Okay, Tina, let's talk about the heads a little bit more because I want to point out, I know quite a bit about this case, which you had mentioned. I've watched countless documentaries. We're talking documentary after documentary about this case. And also, I've read a ton about it. So I'm sorry for interrupting you with some factoids.
Please.
Okay, so the inmates used real human hair on their dummy heads. Now listen to this. So the heads themselves are made up of toilet paper, dust, soap, and toothpaste. And basically all of this was put together and then formed by the inmates to look like a human head. Then they collected hair trimmings from the prison barber shop and put that on the heads to make it look like real heads. Now, if you think about it, it's actually genius.
It was incredibly resourceful, but I also imagine these guys had a lot of time on their hands to figure out how to make these heads. What I want to know is where they were storing these heads while they were making them, because surely they didn't gather all of these supplies in one night and then put the whole paper mache head together. They had to have done this a little at a time, don't you think?
I think so.
They had to stash the heads somewhere. How did not one of the guards notice that these guys had weird head-looking things in the cell?
Back to the story. As you can imagine, finding 3 inmates gone from their cells created chaos inside of Alcatraz. Immediately, the sirens start going off, and now the questions were twofold. 1, how could they have escaped? And 2, where are they? The prison is located in the middle of San Francisco Bay and is surrounded by very deep waters.
In other news, I have a coffee buzz. I should really take a break from that for a minute. It's so good. So we learn that another prisoner named Alan West was discovered to also have a paper mache head.
Naughty, naughty Alan.
The narrator says West admitted he was supposed to be part of the group that escaped from Alcatraz, but he didn't make it out in time. And so the others left him behind. West agrees to give prison authorities all the details of the escape plan as long as they take it easy on him.
There's no, what is the saying? There's no honor amongst thieves.
Oh, that's a good point. Sure. We'll take it easy on you. Tell us everything.
Tell us everything, Alan. Start talking. Otherwise, I'll whack you with my little night guard stick thing.
The whacker.
Yeah, the whacker. At this time, Alcatraz was considered to be one of the most secure prisons in the United States. And we hear, even if you get out of the prison, you still have to deal with some crazy stuff. There's 6 giant watchtowers, a 20-foot tall fence with barbed wire on the top. And if you make it through all of that, it's dark. And you have to make your way across San Francisco Bay. The night of the escape, the air was cold. If you've ever been to San Fran in the summer, you know that June gloom is a real thing. We talked about it at the beginning. It's chilly. The air temperature is in the 50s. The water temperatures are in the 50s. It's pitch black out. There's also a very strong tide in the bay, which can sweep people out into the Pacific Ocean pretty quickly. Also, Tina, another thing, there's sharks in San Francisco Bay. There's even great white sharks. You don't want to mess with those things, Tina, that's for sure.
That's true. Although, according to some Reddit users that I found during my Googling.
I was going to say, your sources, Tina, I go for like news sites and so forth, and you go for Google AI and Reddit.
And Google reviews.
Oh, yes. Don't forget those.
Those are legit. Also, Reddit users are really good sources of information. Thank you very much.
My best friend Briar is super into Reddit as well, and she's like, I found this on Reddit, and I'm just like, huh? You're quoting this?
Reddit is a great source of information. I like it to read people's reviews on things. Yes.
You do that normally?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there's good info there. Check it out. Okay, so according to the Reddit users, the guards at Alcatraz claimed, Jen, that the waters were shark infested to deter prisoners from trying to escape. Genius. I mean, I'd believe it. Of course there's sharks in that water.
Yeah.
But I did go on my Shark Finder app.
Hold on, what?
My Shark Finder app.
Do you track sharks in your free time?
Well, I mean, I don't personally track them. Someone else does. And then I go on the app and check out where they are.
Do you pay for this service, Tina?
No, it is a very much a free service.
I have so many questions. How does one become interested in shark tracking?
How does one not? Don't you want to know where they are?
I mean, they're all around.
Yes, they are all around. I did go on my shark tracker app, and I did not see any great white sharks around the San Francisco Bay area at the time that I looked. I did see several seals.
Those things can be deadly.
Now, here's the thing, though. Sharks like seals.
Yes, they do.
So if seals are there, likely sharks are there around the area, too.
Well, you can also see the sea lions at Fisherman's Wharf as well.
Oh, wait. Was it seals or sea lions that I saw on the app? Now I don't know. What's the difference between a seal and a sea lion?
One is clearly a lion. The other one is just a seal. I don't know. I'm no marine life expert here.
I have to Google this now.
Of course.
Oh my gosh, did you remember that walruses exist? I completely forgot until I just saw that.
You're not tracking those?
No. I did not see any of those.
Okay, so on Tina's Shark Finder app, they didn't have any great whites in the bay when she looked.
I do believe that it is possible that these prison guards were telling some tall tales about shark-infested waters to keep these guys from trying to escape. I think that's very smart. And did you know, Jen, that there is a triathlon named Escape from Alcatraz that begins with a 1.5-mile swim from Alcatraz to shore, continues with an 18-mile bike ride, and ends with an 8-mile run? People swim from Alcatraz for funsies.
Not me. So I do remember there's a swim club in San Francisco, and I've observed them multiple times. That sounds really creepy.
That really does.
But over by by the old Ghirardelli chocolate factory. There's a park there.
There's a Ghirardelli chocolate factory?
Where it used to stand.
Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a wealth of knowledge. So over there are swim clubs who meet there, and they do these swims all the time. And like you'll see them on random mornings, like swimming super far out and then coming back. And yeah.
See, that's another thing. I wouldn't imagine these people would do this in shark-infested waters. Or are they just daring?
They're just daring.
Okay.
They're daredevils.
All right, back to the show. We learn a little bit more about the 3 escapees. The narrator says all 3 of these men had histories of escaping prison, which makes sense why they tried to contain them on an island.
You know, when you're in San Francisco, you can hit up those like tourist shops in Fisherman's Wharf, and they sell t-shirts that look like former inmate outfits from Alcatraz. And it says like inmate number such and such on it.
I would like one of those.
I bet you would.
So Frank Morris had a long history of criming since he was 13. Many of those crimes were for robbery and landed him in prison several times. He even earned the nickname Houdini for escaping from prison 3 or 4 times before he was at Alcatraz.
But apparently he wasn't any good because he kept getting caught.
He wasn't any good at completely escaping, but he was good at escaping the prison. He wasn't good at getting away.
It's in the details.
Yes.
Semantics.
Yes, and a lot of so for tax evasion and things like that a lot of these guys are in prison for, we actually learn most of the time they're in there because they've escaped from other places. So they have to send them to this island to keep them in the prison.
Banished.
We learn John and Clarence Anglin were from the area around the Florida-Georgia border. I know that area very well, living in Jacksonville, Florida for a few years. At this point in the show, they show us a side-by-side picture of John and Clarence Anglin. And these guys, Jen, look so much alike, I had to Google if they are twins, and they are not. But they do share the same affinity for crime, as the show calls them, career criminals. We learn the brothers robbed a bank in Ohio at one point and held up the place with a toy gun.
It's like that story we covered about that soccer mom that was robbing places with a toy gun. We did an episode on that.
Right. So even if you use a toy gun, people, it's not going to keep you out of prison. And eventually they were sent to Alcatraz after trying to escape prison in Kansas.
So how did they get out of Alcatraz? West, remember him? He's apparently the mastermind behind this whole escape. The first thing they did was figure out how to get out of their cells and into the maintenance quarter, which ran behind those cells. The cell is connected to this corridor by a small air vent near the floor between the cell's toilet and the sink. We hear that the salt water around Alcatraz had really wreaked havoc on the concrete around these air vents. So the inmates were able to use a spoon handle to create little shovels with. And they basically used them to scrape away the concrete around the vent.
We learned the escapees worked at chipping away the concrete late at night, and they took turns acting as lookouts for each other. But there's a problem. Imagine a rectangular-shaped air vent. If you're chipping away at the concrete around it, that air vent hole is just going to get bigger, and the vent won't cover the hole anymore, right? So how do they disguise the holes that they're making so the guards don't notice them? Also, the guards are walking around every hour to check on the prisoners. So you're having to work at this concrete off and on every hour and to make sure you're covering up what you're doing. This sounds extremely stressful to me.
I don't have the patience for that.
No. I mean, I guess if you're in prison, you have nothing else to do.
I mean, you're no longer doing arts and crafts projects.
That's kind of arts and crafts. We learn on the show it took them months to make these holes. Okay, so back to covering up their work. We learn that the escapees used paper mache to cover up the holes they were making around the vents. They made a fake wall out of paper mache with a rectangular square to fit the air vent. And West, the supposed mastermind, got a hold of green paint through his job that he was doing in prison. They painted the fake wall green to match the prison cell wall, and they did such a good job at this that the guards passing by, to them, it didn't look like anything out of the ordinary. It looked like the wall with the vent.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. Tina, I don't want to give these guys any credit, but wow, the time this must have taken. I would have lost patience the first night. You know me. I am not patient by any means of the word. My husband will attest to this. When I have my mind set to something, it's going to happen now. Not 10 minutes from now, right now. And I can also say I think my memory is starting to fade a little because if I don't do something immediately, like text someone back instantly, I forget, and it's a real struggle.
I agree. Memory loss is real. Just last night, Jen, my husband told me his clothes from the wash were still damp, and I was looking at him with a blank stare and thinking, well, that sucks. And then he said, did you forget to put them in the dryer? You told me you do that before bed. Jen, I have zero memory of this. None. I was also completely sober yesterday. I can't blame a glass of wine on that, but I can blame TikTok.
Your tic-tac that you like to call it.
Tic-tac is rotting my brain. That's what I think it is.
Okay, so back to the story. Leading up to the escape, the inmates made their way through the hole and made their way to the top of the cell block through the maintenance hallway behind their cells. They climbed up pipes, but when they got to the top, they realized there was a problem.
This episode is sponsored by Jake Tatum, top producing mortgage lender with the Wood Group of Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Let's be honest, the mortgage world has plenty of mystery.
Rates are changing, fine print is hiding in the shadows, and everyone online is claiming they've cracked the secret code.
That's where Jake comes in. He follows the evidence, breaks down the facts, and makes sure your deal doesn't turn into a financial cold case. Whether you're buying, refinancing, pulling cash out, or investing, Jake handles all loan types and builds the right strategy for your situation.
And he also specializes in VA loans, making sure our veterans get every benefit they've earned. No missing details, no bad surprises.
So if your current loan feels a little suspicious, it might be time for a second opinion.
Start the investigation at TatumHomeLoans.com. That's TatumHomeLoans.com.
They climbed up pipes. This would be my downfall. They would have to leave me behind. I have zero upper body strength.
You're more of a squats person.
Yes, and let me tell you a little story. Several years ago, I was working with a trainer, and before I started working with her, she did an evaluation. She gave me a couple physical fitness tests to gauge where I was at. Well, I warned her that I had zero upper body strength, but I think she thought I was exaggerating. So one of the tests was to have me climb up on a box, which I did that just fine. Then I had to grab a bar in front of my face, like a pull-up bar.
Yep.
And from there, I was to step off the box and hang from the bar for as long as I could.
Okay.
So I grabbed the bar, step off the box, and immediately fell to the floor. I couldn't even hold on for one whole second. Not even a fraction of a second. Straight to the floor. I wonder if this is why they had to leave West behind.
Maybe he didn't have the upper body strength.
Maybe he couldn't climb up the poles. What we do know is after the 3 escapees climbed up the poles, I say poles, they're pipes, climbed up the pipes and made it to the top, the air vent that they had planned to sneak out of was bolted to the building. What now? How did they not figure this out beforehand?
Well, they hadn't made it up that far yet, Tina.
I guess. I don't even know how they figured where to go. I mean, I guess at that point, the only place to go was up. So they reached this bolted vent. They can't escape. They have to come up with another plan. The next plan is to file down the bolt, but it's going to take a long time to do it. So now they have the problem of having to run that maze to get to the bolt all over again. Each time they need to file it down.
That's a lot of work.
Plus, the guards are walking around every hour. I would imagine it would take at least, 20, 30 minutes to get up there?
I mean, with your and my upper body strength, it'd probably take us 2 days to climb up there.
No, longer. For me. So how are they going to do this? This is where they come up with the paper mache heads. And as Jen mentioned earlier, they use whatever scraps they can find to make these heads. They use soap, the cement pieces that they're scraping from the walls, and the human hair from the prison barbershop. And the pictures we see of these heads are creepy. But they work. The inmates put them in their beds at night, and at a quick glance by the guard, it looks just like a person sleeping.
With the fake heads in place on a nightly basis, the inmates get to work filing down that bolt and eventually gain access to the roof. And now they have access to the roof, but they also need to figure out how to make it to shore.
And this next part, Jen, is absolutely insane.
Agreed.
The 3 escapees decide to build a makeshift raft from prison rain jackets and life jackets.
I feel like they're very...
Inspector Gadget?
Yes! Yes! I'm so glad your mind works like my mind, because I was like, I'm trying to think of the word
That's
here.
That's probably a terrible word, but that's what I thought of. Jen, have you ever read Popular Mechanics, the magazine?
No.
I don't even know if that's a thing anymore still. But I'm pretty sure I flipped through this magazine before. Either my dad had one or my grandfather. These guys had Popular Mechanics in prison.
I feel like that's a terrible thing to have in a prison. You know what I mean?
We know that now. Because this magazine, we learn, helped them figure out how to make waterproof glue.
So they can tie together their life jackets and rain jackets to make rafts.
Yes.
Wow.
But that's not all, my friend. Jen, do you know what a concertina instrument is?
No.
I was not named after a concertina. I don't even know if that's the way to pronounce it. I just discovered what a concertina is from watching this episode. It's an instrument that you hold with 2 hands, one end on each hand, and there are keys on the side. And the bellows in the middle, as you move your hands closer together.
It's kind of like an accordion.
Yes, thank you. That's how the instrument makes sound. So it's like a small accordion-looking machine.
Okay.
Instrument, I should say. So the escapees used the bellows from this instrument, which I suppose they had a concertina in prison.
I feel like the things these people had in Alcatraz, like, the supply runs.
What a random thing.
I mean, everybody loves some music, I guess.
So they used the bellows from this instrument to inflate the makeshift raft.
I mean, that's pretty genius if you ask me. Like, that's smart. They
What?
didn't have an air pump laying around, so might as well use that.
What resourceful creatures they are.
Yes.
They are some mad scientist inventors.
Inspector Gadget. Okay, so the life raft is inflated with this accordion piece, whatever,
Yes.
in the middle. Then you have life rafts and life jackets holding this thing together with some waterproof glue. There is no way I would set sail in this little rinky-dinky homemade lifeboat with rain jackets across San Francisco Bay. Count me out. Heck, I don't even want to go sail in a sailboat across this bay. The water is always super choppy and it's cold. Nope, not happening for me. We hear that these inmates also made paddles for their little homemade lifeboat using wood scraps and plywood, which they found around the prison. Now, let's talk about the daring escape. It's June 12th, 1962. Sometime around 10 p.m., this is when the whole escape plan is set in motion.
That's when the 3 inmates escape from the building with their raft, launch the raft in the water, and disappear into the night. The next morning around 7 a.m. is when the guards discover the 3 are missing and call the FBI to search for them. Alan West is the only other prisoner they find with a paper mache head and the paper mache fake vent in his cell, so they know he was also in on the plan.
So the jig is up for West and he starts talking. He ends up giving agents information on what the convicts were planning to do once they got off the rock. We hear that instead of traveling 1 mile south to San Francisco and trying to blend in amongst the city folk there, they plan to head 2 miles north to Angel Island. And I want to walk you through this so you have an idea what it was like that night. And this is how I picture it. Okay, close your eyes. Unless you're driving, don't do that then.
That's bad.
That's a bad idea. So if you're driving, keep your eyes open. But if you're just listening to this randomly, close your eyes. I want to paint a picture for you of San Francisco Bay. It's dark. It's cold. You're these escapees and you're on this little makeshift raft. The city lights are dimmed by fog, smeared into soft halos that hover over the water. Somewhere out there, a bell buoy clangs slowly. Ding, ding. The sound is hollow, and it's as if it's echoing through a cave. Ahead, rising out of the dark, is Angel Island. The problem is, it's not a friendly shoreline. There's no docks lit up to welcome you in, just a long black silhouette. There's steep hills, thick brush, jagged rocks. The island blocks part of the wind, but not the cold. From the water, Angel Island looks close enough to touch, but far enough to make you doubt yourself. The hills climb sharply, disappearing into the fog, and the trees stand dark and unmoving. This was the place the escape either ends or it finally began. Behind you, Alcatraz is fading, just a darker smudge against even darker water. And ahead, Angel Island is silent. There's no voices. There's also no help. It's just land. And the question to this day, Tina, is, did they make it? And no one knows because the men were never seen or heard from again. What you think? Did that paint a picture for you, my friend?
It does. You know what came to my mind while you were talking about that?
What's that?
Have you ever seen that movie Shutter? Is it called Shutter Island? With Leonardo DiCaprio?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Is
you
it?
have to watch that movie. That's what I thought of when you were painting us this picture, the fog, the island, the water, the spookiness, the creepiness. Yes.
So nobody knows if they ever got there. Mm-hmm. They don't know if they, in fact, survived.
Well, think about it. You have this tiny raft holding all of these men, 3 of them in this small craft. The rough waves and the water just slamming that raft into the rocks, if it even does get close enough to shore to make it there. I think if they made it, they were lucky because it sounds dangerous. The first thing that came to my mind, picturing the raft slamming against the rocks, was cuts and bruises everywhere.
Yeah.
Then you have cuts and bruises everywhere. What you got? Infection. Infection and cuts because nothing to treat it. Bad.
Okay, so back to the show. You may be wondering why they chose to try and go 2 miles away instead of the more logical 1 mile away.
Right. So the escapees chose Angel Island because they were still in their prison clothes and they'd stick out like a sore thumb if they went to San Francisco. And the narrator says that Angel Island at the time of the escape was a missile base in the process of being decommissioned. So it's not very populated. But there are some resources they could get from the island, like boats possibly. And if they get a boat, they could travel just another 1/4 mile away to get to Marin County, which would be the mainland. From there, Alan West told authorities the escapees planned to steal a car and make their way to who knows where.
So there's a theory that is pointed out on the show. While searching the waters off Angel Island after the escape, a waterproof bag was found made out of the rubber raincoats. Investigators were able to confirm that this raincoat belonged to the England brothers. They also found a paddle which had been made by the inmates. And this takes us to December 31st, 1979. It's been 17 years since the escape. The FBI closed the case, and the file on the escape from Alcatraz is handed over to the U.S. Marshals. And nothing at all happens with the case until about 2003.
We learned that a U.S. Marshal named Michael Dyke decided to dig into this case file around that time to see if he could add any missing pieces to this puzzle. Well, he finds an interesting piece of information. He found that the night of the prison escape, there was a stolen car reported in Marin County. It was a 1955 blue Chevy car, and an eyewitness to the car theft reported seeing 3 men in that car. U.S. Marshal Michael Dyke also finds something interesting that was reported 100 miles east of Marin County in Stockton, California. There, someone reported being run off the road by a blue Chevy car just hours after that car theft.
Makes you wonder. So, did they survive? That's truly the million-dollar question, and we may never know. Whew, Tina, what an episode.
It was so exciting.
I loved every single minute of this recording. Alcatraz sits in the heart of San Francisco Bay, and if you didn't catch on through this entire episode, San Fran is one of my favorite places in the world. The prison operated until March 1963 when it closed after 29 years of operation. And Tina, the awesome thing about Alcatraz is that you can visit it today. In 1972, according to the Bureau of Prisons, Alcatraz was turned over to the National Park Service. The island opened up to the public that same year and is now the most popular Park Service site in the country. And listen to this. More than 1 million people from around the globe visit it each year.
I have never wanted to visit a prison more than now. And I have to mention something I found in my Alcatraz Google Maps rabbit hole.
Tell me about it.
One of the Google reviews has a picture taken by a park visitor, and he's sitting in Alcatraz next to one of the only surviving, if not the only surviving, prisoner of Alcatraz named William Baker.
Interesting.
Have you heard of William Baker?
I have not.
This was such a cool picture to see. Again, you can find it on Google Maps. Behind the 2 men posing for the picture is a sign that reads, "Meet former Alcatraz prisoner number 1259 and author of the book Alcatraz number 1259. Then it says his name, William Bill in parentheses, Baker, and we see a brief description that reads, "William Baker was sent to Alcatraz at the young age of 23 for repeated escapes from other prisons. While at Alcatraz, he learned the fine art of counterfeiting and became a better criminal." And it turns out he also became an author and made an appearance to sign books at his former stomping grounds.
Oh,
how
my
cool is that?
gosh. Wow.
I did a quick search and found out that William Baker, also known as Alcatraz inmate 1259, was born in 1933. He's 93 now, and just a few months ago was at Alcatraz signing books for visitors.
Let's go, Tina.
In his
cool is
90s.
Good for him. I mean, not the criminaling. Like, that's not good for him. But, like, the he's not ashamed to go back. Like, you know, that kind of thing. And he's turned his life around. He's free. He's choosing voluntarily to go back.
Yes. And one last fun fact.
Tell me.
William Baker knew the 3 escapees.
Does he talk about it in his book?
I believe he does. He was at Alcatraz from 1957 to 1960. How amazing is that?
That's cool.
I also have a link to the Golden Gate National Park Conservancy where you can buy William Baker's book and see a short video of him. And the website says purchasing the book supports the parks. And Jen, I have the link right there in the notes. Would you mind including that in the episode notes?
I definitely can. That's so cool. Mm-hmm. Tina, so not only are we going to Key West for my birthday, now we're going to Alcatraz. Voluntarily, we're not going as inmates.
It really does look like such an interesting place to visit.
We should do it.
You could take a ferry over there.
Yep.
The ferry is packed, by the way. If you look at those pictures that people post about it.
So you have to reserve it months and months in advance.
Oh, that's right. I did read about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
How cool is that? I love this episode. So I know this isn't the typical crimey episode that we cover. You know, it's not like death and destruction, like that kind of thing. But I love these episodes. I feel like when we do these, you and I are just in so much of a better mood. It's more lighthearted. Granted, like it's crime, I know, and like crime is bad. Like I get that. But it's just so upbeat kind of. I feel like our energy is just funner.
I prefer income tax evasion criminals over serial killers. Personal preference.
Well, if you enjoyed this week's episode, please share it with a friend.
That's right.
Yes. Also, you can leave us a 5-star review. It really gets the message out regarding the podcast. It lets more people know about us. It's all in that whole like algorithm-y thing. I don't understand it, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
Also, we are on buymeacoffee.com if you want to help support our podcast. We don't charge for our episodes, and one of the ways that we keep this going is through our buymeacoffee.com/Two Crime Newsies donations.
If you support our coffee habit and our coffee buzz, you can support us at Buy Me a Coffee.
I like it. All right, my friend, you ready to close out?
Let's do it.
Okay, we will talk to you guys again next week. Bye.